Polk. 915-544-KTSM. 915-544-5876. Or comment online on our stream at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. It's 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means it's time to talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live, streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. People tuning in, chiming in over there throughout the program. One of the better ways you can do so. Of course, phone lines a little bit later in the show, as we normally do. And we got a lot to get into here today. Already a bunch of things coming in when it comes to, pick a subject, but definitely a lot of more input, feedback, however put it, with you when it comes to some of those national immigration bills. That one that we kind of hinted at yesterday, trying to do a little bit of a deeper dive into what is being the bipartisan effort that is being put forth, at the very least in part, and the very narrow path that it faces moving forward, and some of the specific tenets of it as well, and why maybe it might be closer to comprehensive, even if that may not be exactly feasible in this political climate, and how they basically intend to get around that part of it. Also, of course, El Paso streets getting worse in terms of safety and drivers on it. Of course, we had a notable and tragic incident earlier this week, not yesterday, I do believe, but it's not exactly isolated. We've seen a lot of incidents going on in El Paso streets, so we'll talk a bit more about that, as well as talking a bit further, of course, about what's going on and the various kerfuffles in the Texas legislature, beyond the legislative hang-ups and haranguing that has been going on, and has been very much, even since we talked yesterday, some midnight updates to some of those bills. The back and forth between a couple of leaders in the Texas state government, particularly that of the Speaker of the House and the Texas Attorney General, how that back and forth is continuing to evolve, with, again, the calls for resignation for one and the push to investigate, and having a panel do so for the other. Break that down as well. And, of course, marking 1 year since the events of Uvalde, the school shooting there, particularly in the state of Texas, where things stand on the investigations and what is being said about it. So a lot to get to here today. And again, like I said, phone calls a little bit later, but already chiming in with us, Ida Beza Gardner over on the social media Facebook. Hello, and the wave to you as well. And Austin Radford, wishing a happy hump day to everyone. Appreciate you all tuning in and chiming in and dropping your 2 cents, even if it's just a greetings at the moment. But again, that's one of the better places you can add your commentary, and we can pop it up on screen for those of you on the social media. That you can also, of course, see back during the replays. So don't worry, it still pays like a pay-by-play. Richard Janicek putting it in a, that's a pretty stark term, I'm not going to lie, saying you can tell a city's traffic danger by the number of law firm ads. That's a metric I had not thought about, I will be perfectly honest. And if that's the case, I kind of want to go out and get a tank the next time I get on the roads, because I feel like we've got our more than our fair share around here, don't you? But I have to reevaluate my whole life now. I never thought a comment would make me do that. Anyway, a lot to get into here today. So let's dive straight into, of course, let's talk about what's going on the roads here. Of course, what has been being talked about, that what happened, I believe, overnight, or very not late yesterday, that actually a 18-year-old Eastwood High School senior has died after a rollover crash that El Paso police say speed was a contributing factor to. Montwood Drive, when they say Dante Luna lost control of his 2005 Nissan Altima, according to our news partners over at KFox 14. They have the pictures showing the crash aftermath. The car flipped. And, of course, this is the 26th traffic death of this year, as compared to 29 at this time last year. So metric numbers in terms of just strict fatalities has not necessarily increased, but I'm gonna put this out there. Besides this very tragic incident, which of course comes, in the midst of graduation season, and it just makes that that much harder, I'm sure, for everyone involved in this community or in that person's life to deal with. But I gotta say, I don't feel like El Paso streets have been getting any safer. I mean, we saw what we saw yesterday, a couple of crashes, at least 3 vehicle crashes involving like one pursuit. Now, that may have been an egregious example. Some of them maybe including police vehicles being like forced into traffic barriers that I saw. But seriously, there's this one intersection that I pass more often than not on my way in that has, no one has died in that incident, but the toll it's taken on the landscaping and even some of the rock walls nearby. If anyone else has had an experience like this, please let me know. I'll be very curious to hear from you. In 4, at the very least, I've counted 4 separate incidents. Someone went into a rock wall, like a sheer, like tall, like not even like one of the knee high or lower ones, like a whole rock wall near a church, and also took out some of the I don't know if they were like traffic control boxes or like landscaping boxes, but they were boxes that were on there that were just wiped out and have since been replaced. Someone crashed into a light pole, someone crashed into a tree, and then it's like one of the medians that meets up, so the islands in the middle of the street, on both sides of it, on either side of this one cut through the median, trees have been taken out on either side of it. And this has happened progressively over better part of the last month, if not the whole last month itself. And each time I drive by it, I'm like, no, that's too bad. I hope they get that fixed soon. Happened in the maybe not immediate aftermath of one not too long ago, but like the police were still out there kind of cordoning it off. And I think just as I was departing that intersection, the fire department was coming out to use their rescue tools in order to help deal with some of the debris in the road and deal with the tree, basically. And so at least 4 separate times, this area has been hit by various things. And I feel like I've been noticing that more on the roads, particularly after, unfortunately, weekends. It just seems that there is an amount of reckless driving. I was, during the times when people were not supposed to be outside, whether they did or not, but that was being called for anyway by various agencies of government and localities. There were less people on the roads, sure. I was out on them more often than not because we have to be here to do this show kind of thing. And the changes in driving that I've experienced since then have been, at least anecdotally, entirely, because you can't prove bad driving, even if the fatality rates are technically lower this year over last. People are driving differently now. I actually had someone, and I've heard of this in other cities, I had someone the other day pass me on the shoulder on the highway. I guess they were dissatisfied with the way the speed was going, so they literally went into not a lane in order to get past me, and I was unhappy about it. So kind of a question of the day, I guess. Is it seeming like drivers on El Paso streets are getting worse, dangerously so, in our area? So we'll put that forth as a question of the day, but we've got a lot more to talk about as well. Of course, we'll be taking those phone calls a little bit later on the show as we normally do, but taking that first break of this hour right now. Comments, of course, coming in online. Feel free to leave them over there on this or the other issues we're talking about here today, or the locally affecting ones, and back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
An earlier crash I-10 eastbound at Hawkins exit has been moved to the shoulder. Stop-and-go traffic remains on the I-10 eastbound from Raynor to Hawkins with 13-minute delays. A crash on Gateway South at northbound McCombs, that's on the right shoulder also. El Paso Fires on the scene. And a crash reported Gateway East at the Geronimo Drive on-ramp. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Come shop Memorial Day deals now at Lowe's. Like buy one, get one 50% off on select interior and exterior paints and exterior stains via Lowe's gift card rebate. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 5/31. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for details.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Hi, I'm Burt Ward, Robin from TV's Batman, inviting you to feed your dog natural, non-GMO, Gentle Giants dog and puppy food. Dogs eating Gentle Giants and following our special feeding and care program are living as long as 27 healthy, active years with a wonderful quality of life. Holy wow, 27 years! Think of all the extra years you could enjoy with your dog at Target, H-E-B, and stores near you. Try Gentle Giants cat and kitten food, too.
Greedy politicians have never met a tax they didn't like. You need to take steps now to protect your retirement savings from rising inflation, a failing economy, and another ridiculous stock market correction. Thanks to Goldgate Capital, you can easily preserve your wealth. You'll find all the details in Goldgate Capital's free no-obligation special report. Discover how to save your retirement by calling Goldgate Capital at 855-770-GOLD today. That's 855-770-4653.
Traffic's bad enough without Mother Nature adding to your headache. Traffic and weather all day. Stay informed with El Paso's News Radio, 690 KTSM. El Paso's News Radio, 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages. We're up on these days, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, either under Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk. Other comments coming in, including the situations on the streets, including Flacco Jimenez saying, I believe movies like Fast and the Furious encourage reckless driving. You know what? I would have believed you. I can't believe that series has been going on for like 20 years now. Okay, maybe initially when it was like actually about street racing, but it's been actually a question going on online recently. At what point did that series just completely depart from reality? There's a lot of good ones, like what was in the I forget which number it is. We're on 10 now, of course. The one where they launched themselves into space using rockets strapped to a car. That's a good one. The one where they all managed to take the cars out of the back of a plane and somehow parachute perfectly onto a road with like no other controls. That's another good one. But there's just been a whole like any time that a car magically makes a 100-foot jump and lands without even so much as a dent in its suspension. So, okay, like, sure, I get it. They're a bad example. I'm not going to call it a good example, but don't know if I'm going to call it something that could be replicable in any reasonable way. Like, okay, Tokyo Drift, maybe more than the other ones, but seriously, I don't know. I think that if anyone's trying to be like, yeah, I'm going to be like Fast and the Furious, if they got like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos money, they're not doing it these days. I will say that. And but speaking to that, that other crash that I was referring to, the one that did come in yesterday, that involved one incident, multiple crashes, including a police cruiser that ended up crashing in the pursuit of it. Effectively, our news partners over at KFox 14 do have the pictures from that. Yeah, police respond to 2 crashes in Upper Valley. Police unit wrecked on way to pursuit. So, yeah, that's one of the major pictures that's on the story. So you can see that for yourself, again, with our news partners at KFox 14. But again, so maybe not totally in the fatality numbers, but seriously, it just seems like there's more. You just notice it as you're then driving around, particularly after weekend days, as there are just more damage to things adjacent to the roads. I mean, sure, I get the idea that if something is getting crashed into, you want it to take the damage as opposed to maybe necessarily the vehicle or the person. But I'm just saying we might need a lot more bollards, concrete, poles installed into the ground, installed around town. Otherwise, things are just going to be just continue to be wiped out around it. I don't know. That's maybe it's more. Yeah, Richard Janicek saying 3 accidents reported during the last break there. So I'm just saying, like, maybe it's not. I don't know if it's actually tracked the amount of just like, crashes, accidents, what have you, but it just feels like it's more. Someone tell me if they have a different implication on it. And Tritosac saying people who drive fast are simply attempting to make up for their physical shortcomings. I definitely do have some, maybe not so physical shortcomings, but maybe mental capacity considerations whenever I see someone just like flooring it down a neighborhood street. Like, okay, yeah, this is, you can think of anything better to do. Or my favorite chant is, go find the cop for us. Thanks. Sometimes that works. Anyway, some of the other, of course, major things going on today and continuing discussions going on do involve immigration. Of course, there's a bunch of different things that have been percolating through both state and national as we're still, in the aftermath of the end of Title 42. And I will say that numbers, the metrics do continue to drop here in the city of El Paso. Anyway, the numbers that they're reporting with elpasotexas.gov/migrant-crisis, the migrant situational awareness dashboard, showing, market drop since basically right before the end of Title 42, May 11th, and the numbers, again, dropping, not zero by any means, but of course, some of those efforts then, some of the things that are being suggested to do with this. There's been some national efforts that have basically stalled out, including the Secure the Border Act. That was it HB 2 or 3 nationally in the House, but doesn't face you snowball's chance in hell in the Senate there. But there has been another one, the one that we mentioned yesterday, as has been noted by El Paso Matters, among others. We're referring to the El Paso Matters reporting on this, that Escobar in Florida, Republican Salazar offered bipartisan immigration reform bill. So the factors of it and what they're actually suggesting does come down to, I've often said that the approaches when it comes to immigration and border security are usually one or the other, dealing with the immigration and reforms on that, or dealing with the border security aspects, either the physical one, yes, wall considerations, or in the supplies and things ready for it. So some of the actual stats and acts on this it's multifaceted. So let's get through that before we talk about the actual potential moving forward of it. So as again noted by El Paso Matters, the Dignity Act of 2023, that's the one that has been put forth by Democrat El Paso Representative, again, Veronica Gonzalez, and Republican Representative Maria Elvira Salazar of Florida. Some of the key provisions, and you can see this for yourself over with El Paso Matters, creates a, quote, dignity, end quote, legal status that provides protection for 11 million people currently living in the United States without legal authorizations. Participants would pay $5,000 over 7 years, as well as pass a criminal background check, pay any outstanding taxes, and begin or continue paying taxes. The bill would provide legal status for 7 years with the possibility of a secondary 5-year program that could lead to citizenship. It also creates more legal pathways for people to enter the country. Current law leaves asylum as the only legal path to enter the United States for tens of millions of people, with incentivizes human smugglers, as noted by Veronica Escobar when she was speaking with El Paso Matters, and also overhauls the asylum process by speeding the determination of claims, which currently takes years, to 60 days. I have more questions about that one, but again, as El Paso Matters notes, a major provision would set up 5, quote, humanitarian campuses, end quote, on the border to handle asylum claims, and 5 more regional processing centers in Latin America, where they're going to be screened and processed outside of the country, and that asylum will generally have to be sought at ports of entry. But they will give them an opportunity to go to a port of entry if they first cross between ports. Right now, it's noted that it's not actually going to be just the legal processing that is currently being done, particularly by the state of Texas. Also, $2.25 billion for additional border security efforts. This is kind of the flip side of the coin that comes along with it, including expanding Border Patrol staffing from the current 19,000 agents to 22,000 and a half, and new processing coordinators. I think that's where they get a little bit more into the actual how you're going to get down those numbers. Because if you're going from years to 60 days, that's closer to the 12,000 that has been called for by, among other things, Texas Congressman Tony Gonzalez. But more of the notes on there, including $10 billion over 5 years for expansion improvements at ports of entry. So those are some of the top level ones, as again noted by El Paso Matters. See these for yourself over out there at elpasomatters.org. And the processing part, I think, would probably be one of the more significant aspects of this, because again, the immigration judges, the non-Article 3 courts that they are, makes it difficult to actually see this through in any kind of way, because the end of Title 42 has made it so that immediate removals can't happen, though of course it seems some of the implications of actually having the Title 8 now being the primary removal mechanism is because it does come with a legal encumbrance. It is not just a removal, see you next time if you come back kind of situation that we're under Title 42. And while there were certainly those that were saying, why can't we just extend, keep around Title 42? It was never really it was barely policy. I've said that for a few years now, if I'm not mistaken, because it's just a removal. There's really no policy behind it. It's literally, again, the Patrick Star meme, take the problem, push it over there. That's all it was. But under Title 8, there is basically, there are like prohibitions from even entering the country, legally or not, for future years. So that means that someone who tries that and is processed and removed under it, again, Title 8 specifically talking about here, can put even further a damper on it. Now, there's an argument to be made that this would lead to potentially further incentivization of just completely being outside the legal process. So if it were to be that processing could be, that's, I guess, maybe one of the parts of this that I'm more dubious about. I love the goal. Don't get me wrong. Love the goal. But actually seeing it happen, that leads to other significant questions, and making you wonder if that's truly going to be feasible, possible, or even within the bounds of reality. As we have a few of the people chiming in with us, including Willie Jenkins saying he's ready, and Matt Olson with the extended yo. I'm not going to try to do the full rendition of it right now. So that's a little bit more on it. Now, the path forward. Of course, the path forward for this is very narrow. Among other things, the basically House leadership is not interested at all. They've put again before their own one, referencing the Secure the Border Act of 2023, and that's the one that they're hanging their hat on. But as again noted by El Paso Matters and others on this, there is a procedural method. Discharge petition I mentioned briefly yesterday require a majority of House voting members to sign a petition to force a bill from a committee to vote before the full House, as again noted by El Paso Matters on this. Doesn't happen that often. They also notice just once in the last 20 years. But the reason that there's maybe some reason to believe that it could be at least feasible, if not totally possible, is that there have been a number of different members within the House, both Democrats and Republicans, who have signed up in order to sponsor on this. Specifically, the 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats has lined up as sponsors or co-sponsors on this. So maybe not, maybe closer to the idea of comprehensive. At the very least, it addresses both sides of the concept of getting the dual sides of the coin of immigration and border security. So I'm still not willing to bet on this one, but that's a little bit more in depth on what exactly is the major features of it. But of course, Texas still has its own considerations, including the fact that a Texas border security force is looking at continue to be organized. More of those bills passing through the state legislature. One I'll mention before we take that next break right now, is noted by Texas Tribune, bills providing death benefits for National Guard serving along southern border sent to governor, that one going into law. So yeah, that's one change, but of course there's been a lot more when it comes to specifically the border security aspects of it. Not that necessarily immigration reform is within the wheelhouse of the Texas legislature, but that's definitely the stint they're taking on it. So let's take that next break right now. Coming out of this break, we're going to talk a little bit more about, again, Texas, the legislature, some of those border security issues, and frankly, the kerfuffle going on in the closing hours of this Texas legislative session. And all the things that our priorities are already dropping one by one. So let's talk more after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Hello, everyone. This is Robert Olguin with your KFOX 14 news update. El Paso police say that speed may have been a contributing factor in a rollover crash that left an 18-year-old Eastwood High School student dead. Police say that Dante Luna was driving west on Montwood when he lost control of his Nissan Altima and veered to the right. As a result, Luna hit several wooden barriers and rolled over on Catnip Street. Luna died 2 weeks before his graduation, set for June 6th. A memorial of candles and flowers has been set up on the sidewalk where the crash happened. Employees working in the Cañutillo School District will get a pay raise next school year. The Cañutillo School Board of Trustees on Tuesday night approved a compensation package that includes a 5% salary increase for teachers and a 3% pay hike for all other employees. This has been your KFOX 14 news update. I'm Robert Olguin.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
An earlier crash I-10 eastbound at Hawkins exit has been moved to the shoulder. Stop-and-go traffic remains on the I-10 eastbound from Raynor to Hawkins with 13-minute delays. A crash on Gateway South at northbound McCombs, that's on the right shoulder also. El Paso fires on the scene. And a crash reported Gateway East at the Geronimo Drive on-ramp. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Montgomery. Another hot one for our Thursday. Morning temperatures tomorrow not too bad, down in the 50s and 60s, but Thursday afternoon around 95 degrees. Make sure you stay hydrated, especially if you're going to be outdoors. Partly cloudy skies. For your Friday, partly cloudy once again, still hot in the afternoon, high around 94 degrees. Partly cloudy for your Saturday with a 10% chance of an isolated storm, high around 92. From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Montgomery.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Finding a great hire can be a challenge. That's why there's Indeed. Their powerful hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 toward your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, El Paso, Ivan Ochoa, General Manager of Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. I have a huge announcement. Thank you for making us #1 in total sales this year. To stay #1, we're offering the biggest savings ever. Hey, Jojo, tell everyone about our exciting offers.
You got it, boss man. Get huge savings on the biggest selection of new and certified pre-owned vehicles in El Paso and surrounding areas at Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. Right now, get 10% off MSRP on all 2023 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. Get $5,500 off MSRP on 2023 Jeep Gladiator Sport. Get super low 2.9% APR for 72 months or $5,250 cash allowance on 2023 Ram 1500 Lone Star trucks. Plus, don't worry about your trade or credit. Our aggressive lenders will push to approve your credit, even if your credit is less than perfect. It's the season of huge savings at Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, at I-10 at Sunland Park Drive or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina El Paso Strong. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus TTNL. 2.9% APR is $15.15 per thousand finance. All select vehicles with approved credit. Offers not combined.
For the local issues and discussion you won't get anywhere else, turn to Talk El Paso. Weekdays at 4 right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Brought to you in part by the El Paso Community Foundation. Sound off on what matters to you. Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. And let's talk El Paso.
Come shop Memorial Day deals now at Lowe's. Prep your yard for the summer for less with 5 for $10 Scott's Naturescapes mulch. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 5/31, excludes Alaska and Hawaii. While supplies last, selection varies by location. This report is sponsored by Lowe's.
Text and whatever. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Always just minutes away from the latest news around town and around the world.
You need to know what's going on.
News Radio 690 KTSM. News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live, streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of comments coming in there, including Matt Olson with the hashtag kerfuffle, because, that's definitely it's my favorite phrase to go when it comes to these legal spats or verbal spats could be becoming legal when it comes to the Texas legislature right now, along with so few others adding their commentary over there. Dropping those likes and reacts. Certainly Jennifer Favor Howell, Monica Cervantes, Robbie Flores, Flaco Jimenez, Jim McCravey, and Ida Beza Gardner. Do appreciate all of that here. So, I mean, we mentioned right before the break that some bills moving forward through the Texas legislature, including the one that Texas Tribune notes, the ones providing death benefits for National Guard serving along the southern border, set to the governor. There was, at the very least, a few incidents that I'm aware of, if there weren't any more, when it comes to those that were deployed effectively by Governor Greg Abbott from either, National Guard or the Texas Military Department, who ended up dying. At least a couple. The one that the bill was actually named for, Bishop Evans, who drowned in a different sector of more in the Rio Grande Valley sector when attempting a rescue as part of the operation. So it would apply to Evans and other soldiers who died while serving, specifically in Operation Lone Star, passed a unanimous Senate vote on Friday. So this one is one of the ones that has made it through, but we are getting very much closer to sine die in the Texas legislature. So the Texas Tribune doing a pretty decent wrap-up of some of the things that are dying on the floor, basically. Among other things, they note that there's a few of the article titles here. Bills to build more homes and lower housing costs fail quietly in final days of the Texas legislature. So that's one of the priorities. Most of some of the other ones here. Bill requiring 10 commandments in Texas classroom fails in House after missing a crucial deadline. The Senate priorities on bail and 10 commandments in school stall out as Texas House as key deadlines pass. Some are moving forward, including Texas House votes to repeal sales tax on menstrual products and diapers. But there's just a whole lot that is falling off of the agenda and possibilities. Of course, some of the major ones that are still being debated include the school funding and or voucher program, as noted by, again, the Texas Tribune on this one specifically. There was a late last night vote based on what we had talked about yesterday. Texas Senate passes revamped school funding bill and last-minute bid to implement voucher program. Again, that article title going to as they note, 18-3 votes, like literally at midnight last night. But it's further noted by the Tribune that they have 5 days left to get this hashed out. And given the fact that this House Bill 100 we're talking about there, the revamped version from the Senate, includes amendments that basically include previously unsuccessful bills related to the vouchers. And so, yeah, basically this is the last-ditch attempt to avoid a special session because Governor Greg Abbott is absolutely going to call one. I would be surprised if this doesn't end up going through with the school vouchers intact. But again, it doesn't seem terrifically palatable in the House right now. And kind of adding to that, so that's the legislative kerfuffle going on right now. But of course, there's the verbal and potentially legal one that's also going on as well. Being noted widely around the state, including from our news partners at KFOX 14, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton likely broke laws Republican investigation finds. And from the Texas Tribune, as of updated late yesterday, House panel investigating AG Ken Paxton office. Paxton calls on Speaker Dade Phelan to resign. Kind of a good encapsulation of what's going on there. Because, there was the tweet yesterday, and I saw the video of it about less than 10 seconds, give or take. That has been circulating around on Twitter of Speaker Dade Phelan. I would characterize it as maybe not enunciating correctly, potentially slurring, and that was subject to a tweet from Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton calling on him to resign. But it's also interesting enough that, of course, Paxton, who has had a number of legal whistleblower challenges previously, most of those end up being resolved or settled with him still remaining in office. But this investigation, of course, has been going on since March. Phelan, as a spokesperson for him, Kate Whitman, said in a statement as reported on by the Texas Tribune here, the motives for and timing behind Paxton's statement today couldn't be more evident. Mr. Paxton's statement today amounts to a little bit more than a last-ditch effort to save face. And really, specifically, the House Council on General Investigating has broad authority to probe alleged misconduct in state government and initiate impeachment proceedings again at a state officer. And again, he's already been having this for a while now. So I'm not saying that this is totally interfering with the issues and the progression or lack thereof happening within the Texas legislature. Some other things have been noted, including potentially raising of the vehicle registration fees, not even just for the, was mentioned by a caller in previous days, those that are for electric vehicles, but in general. And I think I misspoke the other day. I said like a $10 fee for registering a vehicle. That's, I think, the county surcharge is what I was thinking about there, because the total amount is in the 70s to 90s, depending, and looking to raise it up into the 90s with some of those potential ones. So there's plenty of other action going on within the Texas legislature. Don't get me wrong, but some of those high-level ones, the fact that they are still percolating through at this point at a rate that would not necessarily belie the urgency that has been given by others, including, of course, the governor, is a little bit surprising to me at this point in time. So those are some of the things going on in the Texas legislature. But of course, today does mark the 1-year anniversary, unfortunately, after the Robb Elementary shootings in Uvalde. And there's been a lot more investigation, including some reporting going on locally, statewide, and even nationally. Part of a major Washington Post investigation, as noted by both El Paso Matters and Texas Tribune. A Washington Post investigation finds that numerous high-ranking officers who made critical decisions remain on the job. So, of course, there's, definitely national conversations, including what we've heard in some of those top-of-the-hour news updates from the administration on some of those other factors, including gun control and stuff like that, has, of course, seen some progression, but not really action. I think most of those have ended up dying on the floor as well. The bills, that is, when it comes to the actual possibility at them just moving forward, I don't see happening this time around, even if there is a pathway for them to do so. I think a lot of them end up missing deadlines. But the investigations coming out in Texas about those that were involved in the response, the whole hour wait, more than an hour wait, but that a lot of those still on there. The Washington Post naming a number of different and using specifically body camera footage of the officers and some of the leadership in those areas on site still being in place. And so calling for that. So a lot more investigation and even response, including from some local and regional elected officials, including Congressman Tony Gonzalez on his statement on Uvalde 1 year later, saying, quote, "A year ago today, an unspeakable tragedy occurred in Uvalde, and the small town of just over 15,000 people was forever changed. No words can lessen the grief and sadness that remains within the Uvalde community. I remain unwavering in my commitment to deliver tangible results that will help Uvalde rebuild. Over the last year, I have continued to meet with community leaders to deliver improvements for Uvalde. We have secured funding for a new mental health facility and an updated emergency operations center within the community. The Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, BSCA, which was signed into law in June of last year, has resulted in millions of dollars for school safety and mental health assistance. I am proud to have worked with my colleagues to get this life-saving legislation passed into law. The bill is a generous and generational investment and will continue to lead the way to ensure BSCA funding makes its way to Uvalde and communities across the Texas 23rd Congressional District." So those are some of the things coming in and factors going on today, but we're already at that point in the show. Let's go ahead and get to those phone lines, open those up, and take that next break. So if you want to get on the line, add your 2 cents on these or many of the different things that are being talked about and certainly affecting us here in the community, if you want to call in, that number to do so is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Hello, everyone. This is Robert Olguin with your KFOX 14 news update. El Paso police say that speed may have been a contributing factor in a rollover crash that left an 18-year-old Eastwood High School student dead. Police say that Dante Luna was driving west on Montwood when he lost control of his Nissan Altima and veered to the right. As a result, Luna hit several wooden barriers and rolled over on Catnip Street. Luna died 2 weeks before his graduation, set for June 6th. A memorial of candles and flowers has has been set up on the sidewalk where the crash happened. Employees working in the Cañutillo School District will get a pay raise next school year. The Cañutillo School Board of Trustees on Tuesday night approved a compensation package that includes a 5% salary increase for teachers and a 3% pay hike for all other employees. This has been your KFOX 14 News Update. I'm Robert Olguin.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
I-10 eastbound at Airway, there's an accident now blocking the left lane, slowing traffic. That earlier crash, I-10 eastbound at Hawkins, is cleared, but there's residual slowing, 11-minute delays back to Rayner. Northbound Wrestler Drive approaching Mesa, an accident. And El Paso police had a crash eastbound Rojas at Joe Battle Boulevard. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Come shop Memorial Day deals now at Lowe's. Prep your yard for the summer for less with 5 for $10 Scott's Naturescapes mulch. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 5/31, excludes Alaska and Hawaii. While supplies last, selection varies by location.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Ricardo, quote, "This is one of the greatest inventions ever. I know this may sound like I'm exaggerating, but this sucker is amazing. The first time I did it, I couldn't believe what came out of my sinuses. I could breathe with ease. My wife just bought one too. Thank you for this product," unquote. He's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
Result of negotiations not guaranteed. Not available in all states. Approximate discounts of up to half before fees based on an average enrolled debt and results.
If your credit card debt is out of control, if you're in over your head in monthly payments, there's a secret the credit card companies don't want you to know. If you have more than $10,000 in credit card debt, you have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. That's bad news for the credit card companies, but it's great news for you. We're Credit Associates, and we're offering you free information on how to completely resolve your credit card debt with a monthly payment you can afford. To see how much you could save, call now. 800-500-6135. Don't declare bankruptcy. Don't consolidate. Give us 10 minutes and we could save you thousands and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk to call now. 800-500-6135. For the secret the credit card companies don't want you to know, call Credit Associates for free now and see how much money you could save. Call 800-500-6135. 800-500-6135.
Finding a great hire can be a challenge. That's why there's Indeed. Their powerful hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 toward your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages. A lot of ways to, of course, chime in on the show and participate, including with those comments. But, of course, those phone lines open if full up at the moment. 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. I mean, there's even more that I didn't quite end up getting to, including more specifically on what has been coming out about that immigration enforcement unit that has been being talked about at the state level. Not in law yet, but being noted by the Texas Tribune in early Wednesday's hour. Texas Senate pushed the GOP's priority immigration legislation, creating a new border police force closer to the finish line under a House Bill 7 there. So there's even more than I was able to get to, but let's go ahead and get to those phone lines now. We do have Ben on the east side here with us right now. Ben, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, anybody out there that is going to be voting in the school board, EPISD school board election runoff, District 6 and everything, I started doing some research about that, and Valerie Beals is the one you need to vote for. She's a member. She was a member of the Facebook group Let School Bells Ring, which was formed in August 2020 in response to school closures during the COVID-19 pandemic. The group made efforts to reopen schools during the height of the pandemic and spoke out against the mask and quarantine requirements. In a questionnaire sent to candidates by El Paso Matters, Beals said schools should monitor and limit controversial content in their curriculum and books. Quote, I do not think that my children should be reading or looking at books that teach about sexuality or questioning your sexuality. When it comes to our teachers in the district and librarians, I feel that they should let the parents teach some of those things and just focus on how to get them off to college. That is a school board member that I can get behind fully. Unfortunately, her the one that is running against her, she has, as a teacher, let's see, she also, Martinez.
Yeah, Jacqueline Martinez.
Against her, Jacqueline Martinez said she hopes to cultivate an inclusive environment for LGBTQ students. As a teacher, I will always provide a safe space for students, and I feel there's many teachers out there that feel the same way. I know that right now there's a lot of legislation that's been introduced and is being discussed about targeting those types of students. But I, for one, will be, my arms will be always open. So you've got a real good choice. Valerie Beals is somebody who's against CRT, is against wokeism. Vote for her, please. District 6, EPISD, Valerie Beals. The other two, runoffs, I cannot find anything really about it.
So, I mean, I'm in District 6, so I've gotten all the mailers and the door knockers on me. These are actually the ones that I've gotten previously during the initial election, but I've gotten more since the runoff. These are the ones I happen to bring into the office. Yeah, Valerie Ganlion Beals, putting her forth, saying, as school board trustee, Valerie Ganlion Beals will ensure all students have access to higher quality education, support teachers, and provide them with the tools necessary for success, and advocate for responsible property tax rates that minimize tax burden on homeowners. Jacqueline Martinez, there's 3 points just on the mailers we got from her. Address the teacher shortage, de-emphasize STAR, and make schools safer. So those are some more of them. But yeah, we certainly encourage people to visit their sites. The one for Jacqueline Martinez is Jacqueline4EPISD.com, spelled FOREPISD. And the one for Valerie Ganlion Beals is, I'm actually not seeing it on here, but okay, give me a minute during the break and I'll try to look up that one if people want to find more information as well. But yeah, there are, of course, in district number 2 for EPISD, Will Veliz and Alejandro Alex Cuellar. And then in YISD, District 6 there as well, Debbie Torres and Chris Hernandez. So certainly want people to make sure that they know that, those important dates are coming up. Specifically, Election Day, June 10th, and early voting is going to start May 30th. So Tuesday, right after Memorial Day weekend.
The people in EPISD District 6, they have a direct choice between teaching their children about wokeism or allowing them to learn at school about things that really make a difference, maybe make them where they might be able to get into college or go on to better things. So please look it up yourself. If you are for wokeism, vote for Jacqueline Martinez. If you're somebody who has a level head on your shoulders, Valerie Beals is the one you want to vote for.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing your perspective on your considerations for these candidates.
What do you think?
I have honestly, we've been working on doing some more of this.
What I just told you, do you want these kids to be taught wokeism, or do you want them to be taught reading, writing, and arithmetic?
Certainly the basics of academics and success are going to be the subjects in the matter themselves here. I don't see it quite as black and white as you're putting it here. So, I mean, particularly when it's
black and white.
I mean,
She
again, I get
says-
you're passionate about it. Absolutely.
Oh, please, come on. She says specifically, I don't think that my children should be reading or looking at books that teach about sexuality or questioning your sexuality. So, I mean, and the other one says she's for LGBTQ rights.
Well, let me put it.
One are you? Who are you going to be?
Well, let me put it to you this way:
likely to
when we
vote
start
for?
talking about things that say no sexuality mentioned, and there cannot be anything about sexuality, does that mean that we can't talk about, say, Martha Washington, because that implies that George Washington was in a heterosexual relationship, which is talking about sexuality? This is the problem I have with some of these level of efforts when they go too overcorrecting in the wrong way. Yeah, should kids being exposed to sexual material? Absolutely not. That is something that parents absolutely need to have more on here.
That's what she's saying in her statement.
But that's
They
not the
should
way some of these laws are being written. And that's why, again, I have an issue with broad laws overall. And so, again, you've got your perspective on this, and I thank you for sharing that here. But we'll want to talk more with these candidates, I'll say that much, and bring them to you all here on the show.
I hope you will, because these two people need to be shown to the community, so they know who they're going to be voting for.
Yep.
I thank you, man.
Absolutely.
If you're going to do that, stay well, stay safe. God bless you, and let's go, Brandon.
All right. Well, thanks for the point on the call. You have a good one there.
Thank you.
All right. And with that, we got to take that next break right now. So coming out of this break, we got more calls, we got more comments, we got a lot of what we're going to be doing, of course, during the second hour of the program, right after this break and the top of the hour news. So stay tuned. More Talk El Paso after this break. Again, that phone number, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Lots of stop-and-go traffic on the 10 this afternoon in both directions. I-10 eastbound at Airway, an earlier crash blocking the left lane, and I-10 eastbound is slow from Piedras through downtown to Hawkins with 15-minute delays. I-10 westbound at Reynolds at a stalled vehicle in the right lane, and Paisano Drive West is slow with 10-minute delays from Washington Avenue to Santa Fe. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, iHeartMedia can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anyone else. And we can give you access to those potential customers more cost-effectively across radio, digital, podcasting, and social. We'd love to show you how iHeartMedia can work for you. From your cell, dial pound 250 and say keyword great results. That's pound 250 and say great results.
The Window Depot is more than a window store. The Window Depot is a one-stop warehouse with everything you need for your complete home remodel. Shop the aisles of pre-built cabinets in a variety of colors, granite and quartz countertops, sinks, skylights, and hardware to complete your project. Need a custom order? We can help. Our designers offer free design services and can special order everything you need for your kitchen or bathroom remodel today. Shop thewindowdepot.com or find a location near you. The Window Depot. More than a window store.
This is the iHeartRadio Sports Report.
In the NBA playoffs, Jason Tatum scored 33, and the Celtics stave off elimination by beating the Heat in Miami 116-99 in Game 4. The series now goes back to Boston for Game 5 tomorrow night. In the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Vegas Golden Knights are one win away from another berth into the finals after shutting out the Dallas Stars last night 4-0. They can sweep the Stars tomorrow night in Game 4. Game 4 of the East Finals is tonight. The Carolina Hurricanes need a win, or the Panthers will be going to the Stanley Cup Final. The puck drops at 8 p.m. Eastern on TNT. And in the NFL, 2 months after requesting a trade, Chargers running back Austin Eckler will remain in L.A. for the final season of his contract with $1.75 million in incentives added to his deal. I'm Andy West with your iHeartRadio Sports Report.
Need more? Open the free iHeartRadio app for the best sports stations in the country and the most sports podcasts with the biggest personalities in the game on demand.
News on the hour and a half. Traffic and weather all day. News Radio 690 is KTSM AM El Paso, an iHeart radio station.
NBC News Radio, I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has announced his 2024 presidential run.
I'm Ron DeSantis, and I'm running for president to lead our great American comeback.
The Republican made the announcement with a video on Twitter. DeSantis trails former President Trump by a wide margin in every poll. President Biden is marking the one-year anniversary of the Uvalde, Texas school shooting that left 19 children and 2 teachers dead. In remarks from the White House, Biden said too many schools have become killing fields across America.
And in each place, we hear the same message. Do something. For God's sake, please do something.
Biden reiterated his call for Congress to pass an assault weapons ban and universal background checks. House Republicans have passed a resolution to overturn President Biden's student debt relief plan. The measure passed by a 218 to 203 vote, with 2 Democrats joining in support of the move. The plan would give up to $20,000 in loan forgiveness to borrowers. Earlier today, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said President Biden would veto the measure if it made its way to his desk. She called out Republicans who plan to vote in favor of the resolution, who previously had their PPP loans forgiven, including Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
You're simply the best.
The music world is paying tribute to Tina Turner. A spokesperson for the music icon said she died peacefully at the age of 83 after a long illness. The Rolling Stones' Mick Jagger called Turner an enormously talented performer and singer and added she helped him when he was young and he will never forget her. Gloria Gaynor said Turner paved the way for so many women in rock music, black and white. Bette Midler called Turner an inspiration to us all. You're listening to The Latest. I'm Tammy Trujillo. The nation's airlines, airports, and air traffic control systems are preparing for Memorial Day travel, kicking off the summer surge. NBC's Tom Costello has the latest.
Since last summer, every airline has staffed up. More pilots, more flight attendants, gate agents, ticket crews, and ground staff.
10 million air travelers are expected through TSA checkpoints this long weekend, 2.6 million on Friday alone. The nation's airlines are promising no repeat of the summer travel chaos that began a year ago last Memorial Day weekend. United predicts the busiest Memorial Day in more than a decade. Guam is bracing for a long night after a powerful typhoon passed just north of the island Wednesday night local time. Hurricane-force winds, heavy rain, and lightning has led to power outages for most of the population. Forecasters warn the storm could still intensify before finally weakening on Thursday. So far, there have been no reports of any injuries caused by the typhoon. Actor Jeff Bridges is sharing an update on his health after being diagnosed with cancer and coming down with a grave case of COVID-19. Michael Kastner reports.
The Academy Award winner talked with AARP recently about his first season filming the FX series The Old Man.
What I didn't know when I was doing those scenes in the first episode was that during that fight, I had a 9 by 12 inch tumor in my body.
He soon began chemotherapy, and in January of 2021, he learned he contracted COVID-19 as his immune system was weakened by the cancer treatment. 73-year-old Bridges
News
said
on the
for
hour
him,
and a
cancer was
half.
nothing
Traffic
compared
and
to
weather
COVID,
all day.
and noted
Stay
that his
informed
tumor has
with
now
El
shrunk to
Paso's
the
News
size of a
Radio
marble.
690
Now filming season 2 of The
KTSM.
Old Man. I'm Michael Kastner.
The NHL's Eastern Conference Finals continue tonight. The Panthers will once again host the Carolina Hurricanes in Florida for Game 4. The Panthers hold a 3-0 series lead. Last night in the West, the Vegas Golden Knights defeated the Stars in Dallas to take a commanding 3-0 lead in their series. Tammy Trujillo, NBC News Radio.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Come shop Memorial Day deals now at Lowe's. Prep your yard for the summer for less with 5 for $10 Scott's Naturescapes mulch. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 5/31, excludes Alaska and Hawaii. While supplies last, selection varies by location.
The El Paso Community Foundation supports the causes you feel passionate about here in the borderland, whether it's education, social services, arts and culture, the environment, health, or economic development. The El Paso Community Foundation has been promoting philanthropy and progress in our hometown region for more than 45 years. Make your mark with us. Start a fund today. For good, for El Paso, forever. Learn more at epcf.org. That's epcf.org.
Hi, I'm Pastor Jeff Shreve, and I invite you to follow me as we pursue wisdom and peace through Pray.com's new podcast, Weekly Wisdom. Every week, we will embark on a journey through the Bible to discover encouraging truths and wisdom to last a lifetime. The Bible says wisdom is like a teacher standing at the gate, calling for us to hear her words before it's too late. Will you answer that call? Listen to Weekly Wisdom with Pastor Jeff Shreve on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Is that a faucet running? That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink.
What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum.
That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe.
I didn't know the trees were so amazing.
Yep, and the forest gives us shade, trees to climb.
That's awesome. Let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thanks for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages with a lot of various comments coming in, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of people tuning in, chiming in over there, dropping those likes and reacts, particularly that we appreciate. Ian, Graham, Flacco Jimenez, Jennifer Faber, Howell, Monica Cervantes, Robbie Flores, Tim McCravey, and Ida Beza Gardner, including in the discussion about some of these things. Monica Cervantes saying, today at my doctor's office, they asked me my sexual preference. It's an annual question now. I said, I'm straight, I'm attracted to men. Felt weird having to answer that, becoming the norm now. Yikes. Okay, I mean, I guess I've never been particularly asked about that, but I've been with our family doctor for some years now, and very well acquainted with the fact that, you know, wife and all of that. So hasn't come up that way, but I guess maybe if you're going to someone new or thought that way, I mean, there are different health implications. I mean, hell, there are still health restrictions on certain things like donating blood or recommended testing based on that. So I guess I could see it, even if it felt weird to you. But of course, the reason that I was not quite keeping a straight face, no pun intended there, at the start of this is that feedback from that John Adams saying you should have answered to the sexual preference question, missionary. The answer would have been hilarious. And RJ saying missionary is a good answer, but other ones would have been over the top. You can see that for yourself. Anyway, it reminds me of the old fake IDs that I saw, you know, like back in like middle high school. The sex, yes, on the fake IDs. Anyway, I mean, sure, as long as you're getting good health care, I guess that's the most important bit. But of course, that coming out of some of the answers. So was looking for it during the break. Still got some of the letters that I've been receiving from the Valerie Ganelon-Beals campaigns here. So I don't have a good one to direct you towards, but she does have, among other things, put out there in terms of contact. We're going to be reaching out more on that and hopefully getting that before, of course, we get to election day. So, but let's get back to those phone lines now. Again, the phone line full up for the moment. So I guess we got past whatever issues we're having with that. But if you want to get on the line a little bit later, just keep that number handy, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Another commentary coming in. And kind of remember one of those questions of the day that we also got going on. Does it seem like El Paso drivers are less safe, more reckless, however you want to put it here? One of the comments coming in earlier, John Adams saying more COVID lockdown consequences, no driver's ed during that time. Now we have thousands of kids on the road with subpar training. So, okay, among other things, my spouse is from out of state, and where she's from, they do end up having it be a requirement for high school graduation, which led to, at least in her experience, one interesting situation involving a foreign exchange student who was like not able to drive, and therefore they were like going to withhold the diploma. Mild international incident, I guess you could put it that way. Ended up being resolved, but like it's required. Here it's strongly encouraged, but I never had to go through driver's ed. I just studied and took the test. Not saying I did 100% on it the first time, but been pretty, knock on wood, good so far. Anyway, let's go back to those phone lines now. Again, that number 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. We do have Marco over in Central on the line with us here right now. Marco, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Andrew. How's it going?
Doing all right there. What's on your mind?
Well, first off, let me give my condolences to that young man's family.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, may that young man's ancestors, meet him in the great beyond. So today I kind of want to cultivate an idea for an argument that I have because I'm very concerned about our lesbian, gay, and bi community members across the United States.
Okay.
You know, their struggle has been a long struggle, by the way. And
Sure.
it's funny that the conversation was kind of brought up. I want to start off by saying this. Harvey Milk had commissioned the lesbian, gay, and bisexual flag, the pride flag, the rainbow flag in 1974. Okay?
Okay.
And this has been, not even before then, but this has been a struggle to acclimate gay, lesbian, and bi individuals into our society. And the old adage came where, you know, respect is never given, but respect is earned. And they have earned my respect and many respect of individuals in our community. Again, let me say it this way: lesbian, gay, and bi. So why did I leave out the rest? Well, because I want to make this argument for transhumanism, okay? And this is something very little that people talk about, but it's important because around 2010, after the Marriage Act of lesbian, gay, and bisexual individuals was passed, you had this movement of transhumanism attach itself to this movement of gay, lesbian, and bi individuals. And then it also became LGBTQ. And so at that point, these people who are trans individuals basically piggybacked on the back of the hard work and struggle of gay individuals, lesbian individuals, and bi individuals. And so now, first it started with trans, and then trans fluid, and then gender fluid. These are all concepts under transhumanism, human plus, augmenting people. See, so I don't have an issue with trans adults. You can be trans adult, human plus all you want. You're an adult. You can make a rational decision of how you want to appear, okay? Now, biologically, you will never, ever be a female. You can simulate the effects of being a female, but you will never be a female. So why do I say it like this? Because my issue isn't with that. You can do that. By all means, get to the point where you're comfortable. If I, as Marco Contreras, befriend you, get to understand you, and then I say, yeah, you know what? You're right. You're a woman. Then I, as an individual, have accepted you like that. There's nothing wrong with that. My issue is the way they approach underage minors with basically castration, mutilation, and in many cases, you also have sterilization. These young individuals that are as young as 3, 4, 5, that are already being affirmed, they will never have an opportunity to have children. This is sterilization in some ways. This is eugenics. This is transhumanism. And this is the danger of adults trying to affirm a minor when the minor himself doesn't have the capacity in the mind to understand what's going on. So, and it's almost insulting to gay people, to lesbian and bisexual, because a gay male, because he loves another man, does not make him want to be a woman. A lesbian woman that loves another woman does not want to become a man. And that is such an immature and quite frankly insulting view of gay, lesbian, bi individuals. And here's the other part of that. The transhumanist movement that applied itself through the progressive gay pride flag. So now it doesn't look like it used to. It's not the rainbow flag anymore. Now it's the transhumanist flag, the progressive flag. And my issues with this, a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, they tried to apply P, Okay, trans activists try to apply P. What's P stand for? Pedophile. They knew that that was awful, so then they changed it to MAI, which is a minor attracted individual. And so it's not the gay individual, lesbian, or bisexual individual that we all have a problem with. We don't. Our problem with Dylan Mulvaney is that his show is catered towards children. And this is wrong. And so we do need to have trans individuals come to the table so we can start hashing it out and let them know how we feel as responsible adults and why it is offensive to us that they are acclimating our children in a very sexual way. And it's unfair to these young people because they will never, ever have the opportunity to have young children.
I will say this, that, yeah, I don't really give much of a hoot what someone does in their individual life. That's, I mean, there's arguments that about things that affect other, but I don't really care what's in someone else's pants, what they look like. I mean, really, as much as I want to be left alone in my own life, I would think that that needs to be extended to others here. I will say you confused me a little bit at the first there, because I'm aware of transhumanism as an idea, but the way I've heard that described mostly in the past has been towards like technological development, like a AI integration, uploading of human consciousness, that kind of a thing, like the idea of the next step in human evolution. So I hadn't really heard it applied in the same way you're describing there, which is interesting, human plus, the way you're putting it here. So what I will say is that if I don't have much issue if someone is saying that, hey, you know what, I'm whatever. Sure. Okay, cool. Go live your truth. I wouldn't expect anyone to question who I say I am otherwise here. But I will say that when we start talking about before the age of majority doing, like, you know, permanent body modification, it does get a bit contentious, and I have my own level of issues with it, because we're talking about huge things. I mean, there were previous times in history when, particularly with like church choirs, actually, you know, young boys having those beautiful voices as they were described at the time here, and thinking, oh, there's a simple operation we could have in order to make sure you keep that voice forever. And that was in some places considered acceptable. So not exactly a trans issue, but a castrato issue, as it was being talked about at that point. And I would have been opposed to that at that point, because, I mean, if you're underage, and not even just as a, well, you're 18, make your own decisions now. I mean, there's a whole lot of scientific evidence towards that. Your brain doesn't really start developing until you're 25. I mean, sure, culturally, we've come down, 18, or now in more cases, 21 being the ages of which more rights and responsibilities are afforded to you. I just think that's the real issue, and the way a lot of advocates talk about this, particularly in the youth sphere, is about not wanting kids who identify as such to die because of the incidence of, suicide and other mental health issues. So I think whatever it comes down on this, I think that's something that can be agreed upon is mental health support. Because, I mean, sure, maybe a kid is confused. Maybe they are sincere. I mean, there's consistency, insistency, and persistency that's been talked about when they're talking about with someone's identity. And therefore, I mean, maybe they've got a bad idea in their minds, but mental health support will deal with that at almost all levels. So whether or not it should be possible, I mean, we've, of course, seen the Texas legislature, not something we've directly addressed as much, because we focus more on the policy issues. But, I mean, there has been a number of those things being pushed through in Texas. And so that might be a discussion we need to have in the coming days, particularly to see what actually ends up making it through and being signed on the governor's desk. But I think where I come down is that if we're not including mental health support in any of this, we are definitely setting up for potentially many future problems, frankly, at all levels.
I agree with you 100%. And I want to make a final statement. And this is a very true statement. I am a super straight individual. I'm a heterosexual.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with gay, lesbian, and bi individuals at all. There's nothing. Okay. In fact, I believe it to be as natural as being heterosexual. Okay. And that might be shocking to some people, but it could be the natural state of individuals. Now, gender dysphoria could be an actual issue. And so we should address those issues.
Sure.
It shouldn't be so toxic. And so I will say this, just to caveat this. I will die. I would fight, and I will stand for that gay pride flag, for the rainbow flag, for the Harvey Milk flag that they did. Because lesbian gay, and bisexual individuals have struggled long and hard. They did the Gandhi movement. Basically, first they ridicule you, they make fun of you, then they beat you, and then you win. And so they've earned my respect. And we should all turn around and think about that. There's nothing wrong with what they've done. We should just question the application of these other genders and other ideas that have attached themselves to it. If we can basically separate the progressive gay pride flag from the rainbow gay pride flag, and not to isolate these individuals and make them feel different, but there are things that are being done in their name. And so transhumanism, it embodies a lot. In fact, the idea, the way I'm proposing transhumanism is a UN concept that's come up. And so the way that the IGC is trying to identify legally some of these issues coming up, this is why Human Plus, and I know it's a thing most people have never heard of, but human augmentation not necessarily has to do with cybernetics. It could also be just general mutilation. And so some of these things seem interesting to individuals. And again, there are individuals that mutilate themselves, and it is a mental condition. And so we should approach it that way. Thanks a lot, brother. I appreciate your time.
Oh, sure thing. Thanks for the point in the call. I mean, it is stuff that we have going on here in Texas. I mean, there are a lot of other debates going on with that. So do appreciate the point in the call. You have a good one there.
Thanks, brother. Have a good one.
Let me just say this on one point that was brought up that I didn't address directly, but I kind of want to. The whole MAP, minor attracted persons, or MAI, as Color ended up describing it there. I will make a distinction between those. I mean, there's some evidence. I'm not at any point in mind a expert on these things, of that there may be a disposition towards doing that. I have no issue with someone who has a disposition that they fight against. Someone who acts on it, that's when it's pedophilia. And that is wholly unacceptable in our society. And that's one I'm not willing to budge on. Let's go ahead and take that next break right now. Coming out of this break, we got more calls, we got more comments, got more of everything we try to do at this point during the show, even if sometimes it's surprising in ways that, it's always an interesting show. Let's go ahead and take that break. That number to call, of course, if you want to get on the line. A lot more comments coming in as well. 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
I-10 westbound at Reynolds, an earlier crash has been moved to the right shoulder. Still seeing slow and 10-minute delays eastbound Piedras to Hawkins. Congestion's blocking the right interchange ramp on the 54 Patriot southbound at the 110 South interchange. An accident reported southbound Sean Haggerty before Gateway South at Marcus Uribe Drive. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Come shop Memorial Day deals now at Lowe's. Like buy one, get one 50% off on select interior and exterior paints and exterior stains via Lowe's gift card rebate. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 5/31. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for details.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Ricardo, quote, "This is one of the greatest inventions ever. I know this may sound like I'm exaggerating, but this sucker is amazing. The first time I did it, I couldn't believe what came out of my sinuses. I could breathe with ease. My wife just bought one too. Thank you for this product," unquote. He's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, Navage, clean nose, healthy life.
A driver who isn't wearing their seatbelt may get a ticket. A driver who isn't wearing their seatbelt during a crash may not make it home. Don't risk it. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
Turn your home into restricted airspace.
Tell incoming flights you want them diverted. The new Raid Essentials light trap plugs into the wall and uses light to attract, then trap flying insects like fruit flies and mosquitoes. Its 24/7 continuous attraction provides insecticide-free protection that's people and pet friendly. Consider air service interrupted. New Raid Essentials light trap, insecticide-free protection.
A driver who isn't wearing their seatbelt may get a ticket. A driver who isn't wearing their seatbelt during a crash may not make it home. Don't risk it. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in. However you may be doing so, a lot of ways to interact with the program, including, of course, or on the social media pages, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, either under Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk. A lot of comments coming in there. Of course, also over on the phone lines, full up at the moment, but just keep that number handy, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Let's just dive straight back into that here. Let's try to get back on track with our segments. We do have Nate on the east side here with us right now. Nate, thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Andrew, and God bless you for all that you do. I just want to just make a quick, some community information that may be helpful. I just want to make it clear I'm not a forklift spokesperson. Obviously, I'm speaking on behalf of being a volunteer that live in the community that is helping. So just to clarify that, as you know, coming up the May 29th is Memorial Day, which forklift has its own plan, memorial celebration out there. I won't go into details of that because I'm not a spokesperson, but please look that information up, individual, and attend it. I know they got a ceremony scheduled at 9 a.m. that morning. Also, this coming Saturday, as we do every year, the Boy Scouts headed by a couple thousand other volunteers will be coming out to place flags. I invite the community to please come out on Saturday morning, arrive at about 7:30, and assist with the effort. It only takes about 2 hours. We put out approximately 45,000 flags.
Wow.
Another part of that, which is relatively new, Andrew, if I may say that, and then I'll say this, they're unique now is they leave the flags out longer. So,
okay.
Can you hear me? Okay, so okay. Anyway, but to make that quick note, they need help with picking up the flags. Any date starting May 30th.
Oh, okay.
3rd of June. So we encourage the community to come out and assist there'll be working staff out there that you can meet with every day. They can help retrieve the flags. I do apologize if I'm breaking up, but you can let me know. Thank you.
No, sure thing. I think that came through all clear, at least on this end here. So, again, you're going to be doing it in the morning on Saturday, May 27th, ahead of the Memorial Day on then, of course, Monday, and then we'll start doing pickups after that.
Yes, sir, up till the 3rd of June. And we appreciate all the families, friends, good people who just want to come out and let's all work together, get some of this tension out there. We can work together and make us stronger.
And so what is that meeting time that y'all going to be doing on the 27th?
Okay, on the 27th, the formal meeting to start putting out flags will begin at 8 o'clock. I recommend that you arrive at least 30 minutes earlier to get signed up and get with the group that you're going to be placing flags with.
Absolutely.
And usually we're finished by 10 a.m. We'll have refreshments afterwards, as we traditionally do. Encourage everybody to be safe, mind about it, and dress for the weather. You know, we'll be hot and sunny, so but we get it done early. But still, be prepared.
Absolutely. And just as a note on this, that Saturday, we're going to be having on the El Paso History Radio Show, we're going to be having on the director of the Fort Bliss National Cemetery to talk about, well, what's going on, of course, at the cemetery, their programming, as well as, of course, the history of Fort Bliss National Cemetery itself, Memorial Day itself, and, of course, the importance of doing things like this. So we'll be having a lot of focus on that day. So right after hopefully you all are done with flags, you'll be able to listen to that on our programming as well.
Absolutely. And then just a little bit more something new that the community is doing.
Mm-hmm.
We're really blessed with this. There's a group, I won't announce the name because I didn't get permission to, but I do know for this year, they're going to be placing red roses on the grave sites of those who donated. And that's going to be Monday morning as well. So you'll see something new out there. But thank God that the community is doing things like that. We should feel very blessed that we're in this community and with good people doing what we do.
Well, thank you very much for the information on that, and hope people can make it out there that Saturday morning as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Andrew, and your program is a blessing as well as you.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Well, thank you very much for the point of the call. You have a good one there. All right, and with that, we'll take that next quick break right now. Coming out of this, we got more calls on the line, and we'll keep getting to that, as well as a lot of comments going in through. So let's go ahead and take that break again. If you want to get on the line, that number to do so is 915-544-5876-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Hello, everyone. This is Robert Olguin with your KFOX 14 news update. El Paso police say that speed may have been a contributing factor in a rollover crash that left an 18-year-old Eastwood High School student dead. Police say that Dante Luna was driving west on Montwood when he lost control of his Nissan Altima and veered to the right. As a result, Luna hit several wooden barriers and rolled over on Catnip Street. Luna died 2 weeks before his graduation, set for June 6th. A memorial of candles and flowers has been set up on the sidewalk where the crash happened. Employees working in the Cañutillo School District will get a pay raise next school year. The Cañutillo School Board of Trustees on Tuesday night approved a compensation package that includes a 5% salary increase for teachers and a 3% pay hike for all other employees. This has been your KFOX 14 news update. I'm Robert Olguin.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
I-10 westbound at Reynolds, an earlier crash is off on the right shoulder, still slowing traffic. I-10 eastbound at Airway, that accident has cleared. They're still slowing on the 10 eastbound back to Cotton with 10-minute delays. Slow on Montana eastbound, McRae out to Zaragoza with a 9-minute delay. And an accident reported south and a crash southbound Sean Haggerty before Gateway South at Marcus Uribe Drive. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Montgomery. Another hot one for our Thursday. Morning temperatures tomorrow not too bad, down in the 50s and 60s, but Thursday afternoon around 95 degrees. Make sure you stay hydrated, especially if you're going to be outdoors. Partly cloudy skies. For your Friday, partly cloudy once again, still hot in the afternoon, high around 94 degrees. Partly cloudy for your Saturday with a 10% chance of an isolated storm, high around 92. From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Montgomery.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Now during Staples Small Business Deal Days, when rewards members spend $100 or more, they get $20 back in rewards, plus another $10 back with a Staples Connect app. Rewards offer ends May 27th. Limit 1, redeemable in-store only. Save big for your business at Staples.
Okay, so we have the car payment, the rent, utilities,
and the repair bill.
What should we do?
I know. I'm going to CashNetUSA.com. I can apply in minutes, get an instant decision, and if approved, we could have the money in our account as soon as the same business day.
When you need money fast, be the hero. Go to CashNetUSA.com to apply for the money you need now. The exact timing as to when your loan funds will be available will be determined by your banking institution.
Hi, I'm Burt Ward, Robin from TV's Batman, inviting you to feed your dog natural, non-GMO, Gentle Giants dog and puppy food. Dogs eating Gentle Giants and following our special feeding and care program are living as long as 27 healthy, active years with a wonderful quality of life. Holy wow, 27 years! Think of all the extra years you could enjoy with your dog at Target, H-E-B, and stores near you. Try Gentle Giants cat and kitten food, too.
Come shop Memorial Day deals now at Lowe's. Like buy one, get one 50% off on select interior and exterior paints and exterior stains via Lowe's gift card rebate. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 5/31. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for details. This report is sponsored by Lowe's.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? egg roll showed up like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. Those along for the ride, dropping those likes and reacts, including Bernadette Bandicol, Amber Banda, Ion Graham, Flaco Jimenez, Jennifer Favor Howell, Monica Cervantes, Robbie Flores, Sim McCravey, and Ida Beza Gardner. Taking those phone calls as well. Phone lines available now, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. And a conversation about drag shows going on in the comments here, which, of course, has been also the subject of either some attempted or, I guess not, I need to check on the status of those, haven't seen what's going on with it, not as much of our focus, certainly legislation here in Texas. I will say that, again, if you have an idea in mind of something you want to, again, I'm almost always against overly broad laws, because some of these versions would prevent the performance of Shakespearean plays, among other things, which put it that way. So, I mean, I guess that there is a level of concern, but let's just say the ends justifying the means is also not a great phrase. Let's get back to those phone lines now. We do have Eric on the east side here with us right now. Eric, thanks for joining us.
Hello. In regard to Ben's call earlier, Valerie Beals, the candidate for EPISD District 6,
sure.
She describes herself as a stay-at-home mom and a homemaker. And she also doesn't care about the safety of children or their parents based on the things she says, and rejects science. And Jacqueline Martinez, her opponent, has a bachelor's in organizational and corporate communications and a master's in public administration. And she's also a teacher. You know, the choice between the two is a no-brainer. Jacqueline Martinez is clearly going to care about the academic achievement of the kids, and she's going to have the knowledge to have these schools properly financed so that teachers can do their job. You know, that really is a no-brainer between the two. A stay-at-home mom or a person with a master's in public administration. And, you know, I won't address the bigoted nonsense Marco was spewing just now, because I wanted to get to, you know, you said you were going to do a deep dive into Veronica Escobar's bipartisan immigration bill, but you know, you mentioned about maybe 1% of what's actually in it. Like, it really is, you know, like, what research did you do? Like, but when you said you were going to do a deep dive into it, what research did you do?
I mean, we were referencing the article that anyone could see here, but if you want to talk about the other information that's available on this, there is the whole one page that's available for it if you do your own search online and see what is being put forth, both the Dignity for Detained Immigrants Act of 2023, the actual Dignity Act of 2023 one-pager on it, which actually ends up being like 4 pages overall. And it's pretty well in line. That's why we went with the summary that was provided by El Paso Matters on this, because, I mean, sure, if you want to be specific about it, the actual PDF for it that you can find from, it's on, technically, I guess, Veronica Escobar's website, escobar.house.gov. So her official page breaks it up into different categories, but I thought that was a reasonable approximation of it. You have issues. I mean, you say it's only 1% of it, but those are some of the, I mean, we talked about the major funding efforts that are a part of this. I mean, was there anything that you think we were incorrect about?
You know, it was literally like 1% of it. If you look at that PDF, almost all the bigoted and racist nonsense conservatives have been saying about Veronica Escobar, all these silly, stupid assumptions about her not caring about border security, they were all disproven based on all the border security measures that she wrote into her own bipartisan immigration bill. You know, like everything conservatives should be applauding Veronica Escobar now and be a supporter of hers if they are as concerned as immigration as they pretend to be. Her bill has everything you could imagine that would address our border security in a very reasonable and in rational way that no conservative should be opposed to. You know, reducing the asylum claim process to like 70 days based on the funding and hiring of more immigration officers and more immigration judges, and having these asylum campuses in Latin America and in the regionally in the United States where these asylum seekers are going to be kept in. And it specifically, it specifically says that before any type of legalization of undocumented immigrants goes through, that the borders have to be secure with at least 90% of illegal immigrants stopped by the Border Patrol. And it also includes a ton of financing to maintain our Border Patrol, to give them more monies and incentives and more incentives to hire more Border Patrol officers. And it also has every single 2 years, it asks for the Department of Homeland Security to have every 2 years to develop a national security report to find gaps where there is risks at our port of entry and borders on the north and south of the borders. And it asks for a 5-year investment plan from the Border Patrol itself for asking what they need technology-wise so that we can finance it. This is what realistic immigration reform looks like, that is humane and secures our borders. And you know what you referenced was only 1% of it. But you know, I don't want to get into that because all this bill that Veronica Escobar wrote should win over the bigots like Barbara and all of your other listeners who complain about Escobar supposedly only caring about people from Juarez. People should be happy, but they need to be informed. They need to read that 4-page PDF themselves about what's in it, because clearly you're not going to inform them about what's actually in that bill because it's so awesome.
Again, you haven't actually said what we were wrong about in it, and we went over the major parts of it. Okay, I will admit, we did not mention the longer-term studies as part of it, because honestly, putting the money where the mouth is one of the more important parts to me. So the funding amounts we talked about, including the amount being put into it, I will say that I'm still a little bit dubious about the way it's going to be done in order to reduce that backlog. And I mean, some of the other summaries putting it towards about, taking it down to, I think 60 days was actually the number put on there. But I will say that, there's some items for USCIS, consular affair and visa services, but just saying that we are going to cut the backlog. Also, it does say that the backlog is cut the visa backlog to a minimum of 10 years. But then also when it comes to the actual processing of the asylum, I don't know if that's something that money, just throwing it at it, can do. So I would like to see more information and more specifics on that part. But again, the actual path forward to see this move forward, there is some bipartisan support. Whether or not the actual mechanism, I forget the name of it, is referenced in the El Paso Matters article. What was it? The mechanism that they're going to try to use to get it passed through is it's a novel one that doesn't discharge petition. There we go. I don't know if that one's totally reasonable to expect this to move through, but I would call it a step in the right direction. But is there anything that you think that we were actually wrong about in talking about this, besides us not mentioning all the specifics that you would like us to in our initial discussion of it?
Yeah, well, the summary that you can find on Veronica Escobar's government page, I would recommend everyone read it. Sure. And the asylum, of course, you're lobbying against it and making excuses, bad faith assumptions about.
Okay. going to hold you up on this one real quick. You often say, oh, you're obviously opposed to this. You said it yesterday online, at the very least, when it came to me on school choice and reform and the things being talked about there. What exactly have I said against this, besides that I have additional questions about some of these things? I mean, do you think that just throwing money at this will solve the issue when it comes to the backlog? I mean, we have coming up on better part of a decade. I mean, if it was simply a matter of funding, I would think that could have been solved right now. So, I mean, I have misgivings, but what have I said specifically that says I do not like this? Please.
Yeah, right now you are just saying, oh, I don't know what could be done to reduce these asylum backlogs in the way that it says. But, I've been specifically mentioning what we need is more asylum judges so that we can get through this backlog. And
I've said that too, if you'll notice.
This bill specifically says that they're going to hire more immigration judges and more asylum officers to screen these asylum seekers in Latin America and in Central America before they even get here. So that's going to take put a massive dent in our asylum cases going forward, and more immigration judges. I wanted to point out, FYI, that Joe Biden has hired more asylum judges than any other president in American history, but this bill from Veronica Escobar is going to hire more asylum judges so that we can get through it. There's no specific numbers specified in that summary. I have, the bill is 500 pages, but it's perfectly reasonable to expect that we can get through those asylum backlogs if we do a massive hiring of these asylum caseworkers and immigration judges. That is perfectly rational to assume if we throw money at hiring those people to get through that backlog a lot quicker. And that's perfectly, that's common sense.
And again, you're saying that, okay, sure, we can eventually get there, but you have to interject some reality into this here. So let's just make this perfectly clear. There have been efforts in order to, primarily on the enforcement side of it, Border Patrol. There has been many years efforts in order to see, Biden administration has done the same thing, to try and hire more agents, but it's not a quick process. It's not a switch being flipped. That has taken years, at the very least, the process to hire Border Patrol, because I've actually been involved in it myself, not in the decisions, but in the process of it. Having done background federal investigations for a while, it takes probably minimum of a year to do it. So do you get what I'm saying, that it's going to take some time? So to say that this is the goal, that's great, but I often don't judge things on their goals. I judge them on how you're end up getting to it. So why someone might have misgivings that way?
Well, first off, asylum judges and asylum officers aren't Border Patrol. Those are two totally different things. So,
sure,
your bad faith concern, it isn't rational.
Eric, if you're just looking anything to say against me because, well, I can't agree with you because therefore I'd be giving you any answer bad. We're not actually discussing something here. If that's where you're going to go away about this, my dude. But yes, I will concede immigration judges are not Border Patrol agents. But I hope you're not saying that you would just want us to, just hire anyone, get anyone we can in the place here because we need to fill the numbers right now. I'm hoping you would want there to be some kind of a process in order to get them on, right?
Of course, there needs to be a judicious hiring of immigration judges. And by the way, Veronica Escobar's bill specifically says that there's going to be a federal loan repayment plan to facilitate the creation of these asylum judges and asylum officers. This bill Veronica Escobar's bill is very well thought out. And if you were to read the summary, you would know all of these things. Everyone needs to read Veronica Escobar's 4-page summary on her bill, because it really does cover all the bases, and it does lay a template for other immigration bills that other people are going to propose. The legalization of the undocumented here. That's a very realistic process. They say, okay, they're gonna tax them at a higher rate of 1.5% and call it a not a dignity tax, but that's kind of dark. But and then a $5,000 fee, and this process is only going to last for 7 years. But that's only after the border is secured to where we could prove that 90% of illegal immigrants are being stopped. So that means a secure border is at the very core of Veronica Escobar's bill, and they dot all their I's and cross all their T's. It really is good policy. And, I recommend your listeners read it just so they could, be proud of their elected representative and see past all the racist talking points about her supporting open borders and stop making assumptions. We should be proud of what she's doing. And we know that she has a lot of pull in Congress and with Joe Biden. The president, she's going to have a lot of power to lobby to get this very sensible and good border security bill through. The Republicans who vote against it, they don't have any reasonable justifications that I've seen or heard so far. They could assume a bunch of bad faith reasons if they just want to oppose it, of course. But if you look, I just recommend, please, anyone listening to this, go on Veronica Escobar's website and look at that 4-page PDF. It's only 4 pages, not much reading involved. The actual bill is 500 pages and extremely detailed. I haven't gotten to it yet, and I probably won't be able to read all 500 pages. But, we need to do our own research because, we can't trust any information sources we consume on this station.
Yet you're the one tuning into it here. I didn't know I was twisting your arm to make you do that, but okay, if you like the bill, good. Okay, you like the parts of it here. I applaud the goals of it as well, certainly, even if I do have some further questions I'd like to see maybe fleshed out a bit more, as I have often done, about how it will be achieved. Because, saying that we're going to hire immigration judges and that'll solve it, if it could be said so, it could be done so. And if that was as simple as it was, we'd be good to go. And so that's just based on my experience and the experience we've had in this both region and kind of nationally on this. Those are the questions that I have. If you're just saying, well, therefore we just do it and it'll just be fine. Okay, I certainly hope it works out that way. Experience to give me reason to believe otherwise, but certainly entitled to your opinion on it. And I appreciate you talking about the facts and what is important to you there. I think we got to go ahead and take that next break right now here. So coming out of this break, we'll tell you what we got coming up for you on the show. So stay tuned. More Talk El Paso after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Southbound on the 54 Patriot at the 110 South Exchange. The right exchange ramp is blocked due to congestion. I-10 eastbound is doing better now downtown. You're slowing down Piedras to Viscount with 6-minute delays. Eastbound Montana from McRae to Zaragoza is a 10-minute backup. And watch for a crash eastbound Montwood at Lee Boulevard. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Come shop Memorial Day deals now at Lowe's. Like buy one, get one 50% off on select interior and exterior paints and exterior stains via Lowe's gift card rebate. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 5/31. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for details.
You probably already know that Rosetta Stone is one of the best ways to learn a language. But did you also know that they offer a lifetime subscription to all 25 of their languages? Dabble in French. Try your hand at German. Learn a bit of Japanese, or even explore Swedish. And right now, you can get 40% off Rosetta Stone's lifetime unlimited subscription. Visit rosettastone.com today to purchase once and learn for life. Rosetta Stone, how language is learned.
Make the right choice for your home when it comes to windows and doors. For more than 20 years, the Window Depot has provided the best price and biggest inventory on in-stock windows and doors. The Window Depot is open to the public, so whether you're a homeowner or a contractor, you can shop the enormous warehouse. Browse the shelves with over 1,000 vinyl windows, interior and patio doors and skylights in several varieties and sizes available to go home today. Shop thewindowdepot.com or find a location near you. Lowest prices, biggest inventory.
A driver who isn't wearing their seatbelt may get a ticket. A driver who isn't wearing their seatbelt during a crash may not make it home. Don't risk it. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
Turn your home into restricted airspace. Tell incoming flights you want them diverted. The new Raid Essentials light trap plugs into the wall and uses light to attract, then trap flying insects like fruit flies and mosquitoes. Its 24/7 continuous attraction provides insecticide-free protection that's people and pet friendly. Consider air service interrupted. New Raid Essentials light trap, insecticide-free protection.
A driver who isn't wearing their seatbelt may get a ticket. A driver who isn't wearing their seatbelt during a crash may not make it home. Don't risk it. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
Did you know that only 2 in 10 El Paso County students graduate with a bachelor's degree? By supporting Border Youth Athletic Association's mission of educational attainment, you will create a long-lasting impact in our students' lives. Your monthly donation enables 4th through 12th grade students access to after-school programs, providing a safe and healthy environment. BYAA engages and empowers El Paso's future through mentorship and leadership development. We believe every player who gets an education wins. Do you? Go to borderyouth.org and show your support for our youth today.
El Paso's News Radio, 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for having joined us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. We've covered a lot of ground today, a bit more than I expected on any given day, but of course we'll keep doing that as we do every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Some of the things we're working on for you is more on some of these various bills. The immigration situation isn't going to go away from top of mind anytime soon, I don't believe, but what I will say is that as these things continue to progress, particularly what comes out of the Texas legislature, I won't hold my breath on the national one, any of these bills moving forward, but I've been known to be surprised on those in the meantime. So we'll keep our eye on those, but certainly what's coming through in Texas. But then also the election coming up. Yeah, we're definitely going to continue to focus on that. I'll try to bring you at the very least the race that was mentioned here already, but also some of the other ones, the main ones for school board anyway, because as much as education and those bills also percolating through the Texas legislature we'll keep our eye on, but I don't think we're done on that one. Probably going to end up in a special session, odds are. So that'll about do it for us for today. Of course, Talk El Paso brought to you in part by Sunland Park, Chrysler Dodge, Jeep Ram, Fiat, 950 Crockett Street, and of course, supported by Ruli's International Kitchen, great little gourmet drive, not too far from our station here at 4176 North Mesa Street. But we'll have to leave it there for today because we are out of time for this program. So I do want to thank everyone who did tune in, call in, comment, participate in the show. We'll do it again tomorrow, as we are going to be continue the discussion as we do every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. So until then, until next time, I want you all to stay safe out there, look twice for motorcycles when out on the road, and have a great evening, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Southbound on the 54 Patriot at the 110 South Exchange. The right exchange ramp is blocked due to congestion. I-10 eastbound is doing better now downtown. You're slowing down Piedras to Viscount with 6-minute delays. Eastbound Montana from McRae to Zaragoza is a 10-minute backup. And watch for a crash eastbound Montwood at Lee Boulevard. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
Hey, El Paso, Ivan Ochoa, General Manager of Sunland Park, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. I have a huge announcement. Thank you for making us #1 in total sales this year. To stay #1, we're offering the biggest savings ever. Hey, Jojo, tell everyone about our exciting offers.
You got it, boss man. Get huge savings on the biggest selection of new and certified pre-owned vehicles in El Paso and surrounding areas at Sunland Park, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Right now, get 10% off MSRP on all 2023 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. Get $5,500 off MSRP on 2023 Jeep Gladiator Sport. Get super low 2.9% APR for 72 months or $5,250 cash allowance on 2023 Ram 1500 Lone Star trucks. Plus, don't worry about your trade or credit. Our aggressive lenders will push to approve your credit, even if your credit is less than perfect. It's the season of huge savings at Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, at I-10 at Sunland Park Drive, or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina El Paso Strong. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus TTNL. 2.9% APR is $1,550 per thousand finance. All select vehicles with approved credit. Offers not combined.
News on the hour and a half. Traffic and weather all day. Keeping you informed and up to date. El Paso's News Radio, 690 KTSM.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
With an open channel.
I guess just try to keep channels open.
We welcome open-minded individuals.
I try to keep an open mind to all issues.
With open arms.
I think we need to always have our eyes open.
For open conversation. And when you open the iHeartRadio app, you open a whole new world. Wherever you are.
What should America do about immigration crisis?
I guess open the borders, but at the same time, check everyone that's coming in.
Open the gates.
A free download in the App Store or at ktsmradio.com. freedom of speech lives here.
To me, freedom of speech is being able to say anything you want.
El Paso's News Radio, 690 KTSM. News on the hour and a half. Traffic and weather all day. News Radio 690 is KTSM AM El Paso, an iHeart radio station.
NBC News Radio, I'm Tammy Trujillo. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has announced his 2024 presidential run.
If you nominate me, you can set your clock to January 20th, 2025 at high noon, because on the west side of the U.S. Capitol, I